Welcome to Cloudscapes, your go-to podcast for all things cloud native. Our aim here is to keep it real and have down-to-earth chats about the cloud to also help you learn something new and be inspired on your cloud journey.
I'm Teppo Suominen, your host and a team coach here at UpCloud, and with me, as always, is my co-host Jannika Jokinen, a senior account executive at UpCloud, and I'm very happy to be able to welcome our guests. We got Thiseas Meggos, the VP of Infrastructure, and Gerasimos, who is the Senior Vice President of Product, both at Hack the Box. So glad to have you guys here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Welcome warmly. And really great to get a chat with you and hear about Hack the Box.
Yeah, thank you from my side as well for joining. Nice to get this conversation started. So we probably have some listeners here who is not familiar with Hack the Box. So could you maybe tell us a little bit more about Hack the Box platform and what it offers?
Yeah, sure. I can take actually this one. So Hack the Box mission actually is to create and maintain high-performing cybersecurity individuals and organizations. In other words, we enable them basically to achieve readiness and resilience, things that are pretty critical in today's world. The way we do this is by offering an all-in-one environment, basically where they can upskill. But also we offer continuous growth, assessment of capabilities, and also recruitment. In other words, a complete cyber performance center. That's in a nutshell what we do.
Yeah, that sounds like quite interesting and hot topic if you think about the market trends and news that we are hearing. So.
Maybe a question on that. Is this for everybody, or is it focused for those companies who are already in the cybersecurity field, or are you geared for everyone?
Our focus actually is on cybersecurity teams. And maybe it's a good opportunity to talk a little bit about our history. Our initial focus was on the offensive side. Like if you go a few years back, our logo back then, it was Hack the Box pen testing labs. So as I said, that was our original focus. But since then, we have evolved a lot in order to offer products and content for the defensive side of the house. So this is about blue teamers, SOC analysts, all these guys. So to your question, no, it's our focus is not really on end users. We don't really do things like security awareness. Our focus is on security organizations.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, maybe we can get a bit deeper into the cybersecurity training as a topic, and if you're thinking about your setup and how do you work currently in your company, and if we think about cloud in general, that what pushed Hack the Box actually to move to cloud, and how does your current setup look like from that perspective?
I can take this one.
Yeah, sure.
If we go within the generic cloud approach, again, as a startup back at the beginning, it was pretty much the way forward. The cloud gives you the scalability, it gives you the freedom, it gives you the flexibility actually to deploy whatever you need to deploy at a relatively good cost perspective, good cost margins, while taking away all the headache of the maintenance and the whatever needs to be done, the core configurations that need to be done, which of course can be very, from a perspective of cost and time, can be a huge thing for a startup company that needs to focus on other things. So the cloud was a straightforward approach from our side. And we keep doing that since then with a different scale, with a different approach, to be honest. Something that led us also to UpCloud itself. during our journey of exploring solutions. And from there on, we are moving together, let's say, down this road.
Yeah, and I know we've been working together for a few years now, and it's been a rewarding journey, I guess, for both of us. So maybe if you could tell us a little bit more about why did you decide to go with UpCloud in the first place? There might be listeners who are interested in that aspect as well.
Yeah, of course. At some point, let's say we had, of course, we have a variety of services, to be more specific. One of those that is a bit demanding in terms of load that it produces on the backend. It's called Pwnbox. I guess we can elaborate on that later on. We used to host the service on another cloud provider, but we saw that we were reaching the limits of their offering as a whole, as a service. I mean, so we decided that it was time to search for alternative solutions. During our research, we cross-checked UpCloud. We did our experimental rounds there. UpCloud checked from the beginning most of the boxes, let's say, in terms of performance, resilience, and scalability, as we saw it at the initial POCs. So from there on, it was again also the conversations about pricing and all that kind of lateral stuff were towards the correct direction, at least from our perspective. So the final partnership was again a mutual and well-designed approach, I would say.
For sure. And from a technical perspective, from our point of view, when you did your first proof of concept tests, I don't think we've ever had a stress test as heavy as you guys testing out the platform before that. So we learned a lot about the way that we have to be able to operate. And we were also quite happy with the results of how we were able to operate when you guys all of a sudden are spinning up thousands and thousands of containers at once.
Yeah, that was one thing. Actually, the whole POC session was very interesting. Afterwards, also after the finalization of the, let's say, of the bureaucracy and the actual partnership kickoff, we saw together a lot of things that I would say triggered from our use cases.
For sure, yeah.
Ended up in redesigns on the UpCloud side and actually shaping along with us, I would say, the end product into a more performant.
Oh, for sure.
Overall.
Yeah, it's like it's always with growth business. You don't want to do something unless there is a need for it, and you guys definitely showed us that there is a need for some performance upscalings, which we then took on and happily were able to push our product into a new sphere there. So that was, I think, a really good takeoff for both of us in the partnership.
Definitely. I want to fully highlight there that the communications and the eagerness from the UpCloud side to deep dive into the case, which was not that so straightforward, I would say. React fast and always keep the open channel between us in terms of communications were pretty much the things that drove us also into retaining the partnership and doing from our side also our best to mutually move together forward.
Sure. I think it was funny from our engineering perspective as well. I can't remember a time when I've seen engineers as happy about a customer testing something. Like we've never seen anything like this before. This is so cool. Like we're doing things we're not able to even like perform on our own, and we're getting a partner to do it. This is so fun. Everybody was just having a great time. So
glad to hear. So glad to hear indeed. I know it was stressful, but also good to know that the guys took it with a creative approach.
For sure, yeah.
And we also discussed a little bit about your cybersecurity upskilling solution, just briefly. And if thinking about, this kind of cloud native infrastructure, that how has that changed the way you provision it, the cybersecurity upskilling solution? Has any impact on that side of your business?
Impact in what sense? I would say, I mean, it allows us to further expand. With explicitly with UpCloud, since we are working on, I would say, in the hybrid sphere of private and public cloud, that allows us much better flexibility, while also retaining a very core aspect of things, the pricing, into levels that make fully sense to us.
And I guess this is necessary, right? Because
definitely.
our community nowadays is 3.3 million people. So there's no other way to do this if you don't have a way, a good and solid way to scale. So one thing we can mention is definitely that.
Yep, for sure.
What about from the thinking, of course, scalability is the main consideration when you've got millions of users there, but from the architectural side, what have you guys had to consider going forward and growing? Like, how has that changed for you?
Well, we follow along. So we kind of, go hand by hand with all our partners. The way we evolve technically, we need to see that on the other side of all our partners, I would say. Because if we have inconsistencies in that flow, then we have bottlenecks. So overall, that's our aim, to keep partnerships and relations with service providers, and since we're talking about that level, that do scale, are flexible, they can listen and understand demanding and sometimes peculiar needs. That can happen too. And from there on, move together, because also the cybersecurity sphere is also touching their side as well, I would say. Not directly, but in a kind of indirect way.
Yeah, and you also mentioned the Pwnbox before. Maybe we can dig a bit deeper into that. If you could describe a little bit what's that about.
Yeah, I guess let's do that, because maybe not everyone is aware of this. So Pwnbox actually is a browser-based Parrot security Linux distro. Again, in case someone is not aware, Parrot security is part of the Hack the Box ecosystem. So Pwnbox actually comes with a plethora of pre-installed hacking tools. It's fully customized, and the good thing with it is that especially when it comes to beginners, all these guys, they don't need to look around for the tools they need to interact with our content. Everything is in one place. But it's also very important for large organizations. I think we all know that especially in this type of organizations, there are strict rules when it comes to what can be installed on common laptops. So they don't need to worry about this. Everything is in one place. They can just use Pwnbox and go through our content. And obviously, this is not static. Okay, it's not that we released something years ago and that was it. We keep it up to date, and we make sure that it is aligned with with our content, with what we expect our users to use. Again, when they consume our content.
Of course, Pwnbox is interactive and enables even more beginner users to get started. How much work goes into keeping it up to date? Is how much time do you have to? Is it a daily occurrence or?
I can take that for sure. It has been I would say a real pain for some time. until we managed to figure out all the automations behind the updates, the maintainability, and the distribution of it between all the regions that we provided and various cloud providers also. That's also a case from our side. Initially, I would say the maintenance period required to update it and keep it in shape would take at least 2 or 3 days per session, per tool, something like that. So you can imagine that, or even if we try to introduce something new, which was not in a packaged way, so binary installation, all that kind of beautiful stuff that need to happen. It was a real pain for us. We decided to invest in automation. So a collection of tools and of course some code contributions from our engineers, our system engineers and architects, ended up in narrowing down the time required to get a new version into a perspective of hours, of a few hours.
That's really good to be able to just have a new version out in a matter of hours.
We now have a life, is the answer.
That's really good.
And it's also necessary, right?
It is. Outside joking. From the time we press the button until we have the new version up and running on production, it's now a matter of a few hours.
Brilliant. And of course, like from your perspective, you need to be pretty much on the bleeding edge of security to be able to provide the skills necessary for your customers to learn and be able to meet and match the threats that are out there. And with security, it's always a running match. Like your target is never staying still. So you have to be able to provide these automatic updates as soon as possible.
Definitely.
Brilliant.
There's no other word, I think, from my perspective.
For sure. And then if we think about, the cybersecurity education and Pwnbox from your side, that you mentioned it a little bit, but maybe it would be nice to get your view on it, that how actually Pwnbox make cybersecurity education more accessible and engaging for the users.
Yeah, so basically we provide it for use in our labs. So as I said before, it comes with all these hacking tools, all these tools actually that we expect them to use. So everything is in one place. They don't need to to
start looking for tools.
To start looking for tools, and that's very important, especially in the beginning of your journey in cybersecurity. And also by being something online, we can offer it's online. You don't need to worry about installing anything locally. It means that it expedites, right, your journey into I guess getting started into cybersecurity.
If I may say another parameter on the whole case, those instances are disposable. So pretty much you can experiment freely. You don't have the worry of breaking something. You don't have the worry of, plus our content also has some vulnerabilities that need to be deployed to see them in action fully. So you don't also worry if you infest something locally on your PC, on your computer, on your network too. So this is a safe playground for the people that want to interact with our content.
Plus, I think we see some people keeping their scripts, right? In their Pwnbox instance, that could be their playbook, generally speaking. So next time they come back, they don't need to start from scratch.
We offer the persistent storage.
That's the persistent storage, exactly.
Yeah. So technically, your goal is to reduce the barrier for people who would like to learn more about cybersecurity and get the training for it in a safe environment.
Yeah,
exactly.
Brilliant.
We don't want them to spend time on, configuring and setting up their environments. versus experimenting with the content.
I do remember like back 15, 20 years ago, you would have to spin up a personal VM and then infect that and hope you'd done it correctly so you didn't infect the computer you were running the VM on. And now it's just a few clicks and you can do it in an environment that is promised to be safe by you guys. So it's quite a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
It is fun to do it the way you described it, but yeah.
I may have broken a few computers back in my day with that, so lessons learned.
Of course. The best way to learn, actually.
Okay, then let's get back to the cloud and infrastructure side for a bit. And if we talk about private cloud, public cloud, or maybe even utilizing hybrid cloud, as we touched a little bit in the beginning of the episode. And if you think about from your experience, and what are the advantages and considerations of using this kind of setup where you utilize private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud solutions for cybersecurity?
Yeah. Well, the private cloud, I can quickly share a couple of points per category. In our use case, the hybrid approach is by far the most optimal. But I can say from our perspective a few things for public versus private and their advantages, disadvantages. The private cloud gives you, for sure, much better control and security on your deployments. They are only for you. The resources behind are only for you. You can most likely achieve better pricing as this is a full private installation and offering. The cons, of course, here is that if you are only on the private cloud, you cannot scale that easily. Not in the sense of actually, if you need something in the next hour, you cannot have it.
Yeah.
So it basically, you need to do a very good scheduling from your side so as to always have the resources in place no matter what. The public cloud, on the other hand, gives you the flexibility, infinite resources. Let's say you don't have a max cap on what and where you want to deploy. But yeah, you are playing on the generic playground, let's say, of a cloud provider, and yeah, most likely the pricing is a little bit higher because you go into the generic pool and you cannot, go proactively and hit a deal that can play along with your needs, pretty much. From our use case, though, the hybrid one is pretty much what we were after. In what sense? We have a standard tier on the private cloud, which means that with the resources we have allocated can definitely cover our average usage, let's say. And we can switch to the public whenever we have a spike. We tend to offer a product called CTF, what practically is a hackathon event of 2-3 days.
Very event-based, yeah.
Event-based. So at this point, we might see the traffic coming from one event, might be a popular event, for example, covering the average traffic. We might see the same numbers or even higher arriving from one single event versus the whole other traffic that is coming from all over the Hack the Box. So in that sense, we cannot, if we were only on the private side, we couldn't scale easily, or we would need to over-provision just to cover those cases. By combining private and public, we can stick on the normal flow on the private. Once we overpass our booked resources, we can, with one click, let's say, of automation, that is, of course, switch to public and continue without any implication for the users and us, of course.
So technically getting that kind of performance, security, and cost optimization for kind of the baseline of your business. And then when you have spikes in the usage from these events, for example, then utilizing the public cloud resources for that specific time when you don't need those, running necessarily every day.
Exactly.
And then if we think about this type of hybrid cloud setup where you would utilize private cloud and public cloud, and then getting back to your evaluation phase, how important was this type of approach for you at the time when you were looking for a provider?
We were not sure that we will find someone that could give both at the same level. To be honest, back when we were researching for alternatives, it was like the holy grail of our approach. If we can find someone that can give us a private solution with the stability, good pricing, and the features that we are after, plus a public space where we can cover the spikes that we just talked about, then yes, that's the ultimate for the concept. And thankfully, we found it with UpCloud. Actually, it was the second cloud provider that we had in our list during the assessment.
Yeah, and I think also if you think about private cloud, sometimes companies might interpret it that, okay, it's just kind of on-prem solution. But then if you think about, for example, in your case and what UpCloud offers, we actually offer you the same infrastructure tooling and same services, but it just means that, the host is dedicated only for you. So then you can actually utilize the public cloud flexibility in terms of the services, managed services and so forth, but in the private cloud setting as well. So that's quite nice that you've been able to then utilize those kind of features in your use case as well.
Definitely. It sold our hands, to be honest.
But it's from a tooling perspective as well, actually a really good point that once you have that option of scaling with the same tools, but having the flexibility and pricing of the private cloud compared to the classic hybrid solution, where it's a server that you're running in your basement and the tooling never works with anything else. It's just so much easier.
Taking away all the let's say the configuration and maintenance overhead while keeping separation from and the clean environment on your side is pretty close to to the end goal.
Yeah.
We have the overhead away. We have the service just for us. What else to look for? So yeah.
Perfect. And then cybersecurity and the future of it. I think that's always interesting to think what the future holds, and if we look ahead, what's to come from Hack the Box and overall of the future of cybersecurity from your perspective.
Yeah, actually, this is part of our role in the industry. Like, we monitor and understand the threat landscape out there. We do this actually by not only by relying on our SMEs, on our internal SMEs, but also leveraging, our, I would say, highly engaged community, Hack the Box community. So all these guys, like, they offer a lot of input, even content, actually, a lot of times around, the latest threats. So this way, this looks more like a hive mind type of thing, a very collective approach. I mean, if you're asking about like emerging areas, we should definitely mention AI. I think AI actually is a good example of how new technologies can expand the attack surface of organizations. Like if you think about all these chatbots basically that have been deployed out there, these are new touch points between users and AI application, AI powered systems. And by the way, when I say AI, I mean from classic ML, because this technology has been around for years. We don't need to, we should not forget about that. But also even, the latest stuff like generative AI. And I would also like to mention that we have actually a great partnership with Google on that front. So if you go on the Hack the Box Academy side, you're going to find a job role path focusing on AI security, and we're working with Google to roll out like more modules actually as part of this job role path. But AI obviously is not the only area. It's not the only emerging area out there. We should definitely mention quantum computing. We already have content actually for that as well. So if you are on Hack the Box, you're gonna find like a lot of challenges around like quantum computing and pretty interesting stuff. But there are other areas like that we see the last couple of years, like ICS, OT, IoT, and in general, like the expectation is like content around like critical infrastructure. So we as Hack the Box, we come in, we simulate basically these critical infrastructures, and we allow security teams to understand what they need to know in order to stay up to date when it comes to all these topics.
Yeah, for me it sounds that of course there's a lot of new technologies, as you mentioned, like AI and all those things coming into the market and shaping the way cybersecurity and cybersecurity training is handled in the future. So to me, it sounds that you as a company are taking these kind of steps to actually stay in front of those kind of advancements, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like initially it may look as a niche, let's say, thing, a niche area we're focusing on. But then, we see down the road that this becomes mainstream and the demand gets increased. And as Hack the Box, we're already there to offer products and content to meet their needs.
Brilliant. All right. I think we've reached the end of our talking points, so it's time for our small, fast questions. So there's a few quick questions. You can answer with a single sentence or a few words. No need. You can expand if you want to, but whatever comes to the top of your head, and both of you can pick an answer for each. But there's 4 of these. But let's get started with the first one. So, what is the cloud trend that you currently see emerging in Europe that interests you the most?
Hybrid.
All right.
Hybrid cloud. That was easy.
Okay. Is it hybrid for both of you, or?
Yeah, I would say so. If the infra guy says so,
It makes sense to keep with the same answer. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
All right, then to the next question. So when you're not navigating the cloud, what would you say is your favorite place on Earth?
Isolated beach.
I'll go with sea for sure, and sailing.
Nice.
For me, at least.
Yeah, an isolated beach. No signal, no phone signal.
Getting away a bit from it all.
Yeah.
All right.
Isolated is a key word.
I think it works with the sea as well. When you're sailing, you need to focus a bit more on.
Not that adventurous though.
True. All right. What's one book, movie, or experience that you feel has had a great impact on you?
I mean, I can start, but it's more like on the product management side. It's called Transformed, and it talks about how what's the ideal way actually for R&D organizations to work, from product, engineering, infra people, how all can come together, to get the maximum result.
All right.
I will go with a movie. I would say Hackers, the movie, back in 1990 something.
4 or 5, I think, around there.
Something like that. Yeah. It got me into a whole different perspective watching it as a young kid back then. And I have some some scenes spotted in my head.
It is a bit of a cult classic, and I would actually, for anyone who's not seen it, I would say it's a good recommendation to kind of get the mood of the scene and the 90s, and it's a good movie altogether.
Definitely.
Yeah, maybe I need to
Oh, you
watch it as
definitely
well.
do.
I'll put it on my
Go for it.
list.
Great.
So then, if thinking about from your perspective, what's the one thing you wish people would take away from today's conversation?
I mean, maybe one thing we can say is like that. Continuous upskilling is necessary in today's world. I guess that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Upskilling and research.
All
I would
right.
say
For sure.
Brilliant.
those strike to me.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. I'll try to distill a bit of the conversation we had here in addition to upskilling and research, which I think are very good points to always remember, regardless of what topic you're discussing, but especially if we are within the bounds of security and cybersecurity, as we are here in this conversation. But we kind of started off with Hack the Box and how you guys are out there to help organizations and security people be their best selves and make sure that they are able to face the threats and help the organizations they're working with in the modern internet landscape. And then we kind of looked at how you guys have managed that with your hybrid cloud solution and always available resources, the tools that you have in the Pwnbox and other tools that you've got in your belt at Hack the Box. And then we kind of touched largely on how that's made possible and how you guys do that at Hack the Box and with us at UpCloud as partners. And of course, then we kind of try to take a look at the future of what's coming down the bend and how with cybersecurity, AI, and other modern tools are shaping the landscape. I actually personally have to really look into the sets that you've got on the quantum computing, because that's something that sounds extremely interesting from a security perspective.
Sounds great.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
All right. But thank you so much, Thiseas and Gerasimos, for joining us on this chat. And thank you, Hack the Box, for being available and having this conversation. It's been really great to have you. And I think it was a very enlightening discussion on cybersecurity and its modern topics.
Yeah, great discussion. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.